Welcome to another video. We're going to be destroying bases with E-Dragons. We're going to start off a couple things here. I notice on this base, the town hall is off to one side. I'm going to snipe that with some strategic E-Dragons here. We're going to drop a Tesloon, get the CC out, 2 E-Dragons, and a Rage spell. This hopefully should clear out that compartment. You can see I'm using totem spells to distract the Monolith, the Guardian, and even some of those Super Wizard towers. You can see it gets quite close, but I do get the Town Hall down. I didn't get the Monolith. I wish I would have, but it's going to be okay. I'm going to drop King, Queen, and the Siege Barracks up at the top. They're going to funnel out that section, which is going to allow some great pathing for my E-Dragons to come through here to the core, take out these spitters, and work out to the backside of the base. Not a lot of damage off the bat, so I'm going to save a totem. I'm just going to use one for that air defense. And then the dragons are going to move towards the fire spitter and the bomb tower, kind of keeping just away from that bomb line. Multi-Inferno towers start hitting the E-Dragons. I'm going to pop the Eternal Tome, heal the E-Dragons through that process, and also Rage Spell. At this point, you can see I've blitzed myself through the core of the base. The heroes are still on the outside at full health, and they're going to be what carry you through the outside ring of the base. At this point, the base is pretty much crushed. I don't have any totem spells left, any hero abilities left, so it's more of just letting the troops walk around and take out the remaining defenses. The good thing about this strategy is if you can get the core defenses down, the E-Drag, or the heroes, if you keep them alive, they can take out almost everything on the outer ring of the base. So if the E-Dragons get into the core and use that splash damage to take out most of those defenses and collectors, it'll just allow your heroes to do the walk all the way around. So I can see, again, this base, we have a couple heroes up, still an E-Dragon, pretty crushed. Let's move on to the next one. The next base here, it's pretty compact, which means E-Dragons are going to do pretty well. I'm going to look for some flinger value, I think. I see there is a Expo on the bottom, but I should be able to get these Teslas and maybe that air defense and just help my E-Dragons path through that core section of the base and have my heroes on the other side funnel out that compartment as well. So as this sets up, I'm looking, there's a free E-Dragon spot there down at the bottom. There's not a lot of air targeting defenses, so they should be able to fly in there. And I can take out another air defense with my heroes. And so now there's only one air defense left. And it's on the back side there. You can see my Flamefinger got targeted by the Expo. I probably could have used a totem spell, but I was paying attention to the E-Drag drop. E-Dragons get into the core. We're going to Rage and use that Eternal Tome early. That's going to allow for the E-Dragons to keep their health up and also heal up any of the E-Dragons that probably took a mine on entry. The Minion Prince is going to town. I'm going to use his ability to freeze all of those heroes and Guardian over there. Unfortunately, he runs straight into a black mine, so he's toast. But the E-Dragons have done a pretty good job, again, gutting the core of this base. And now it's just a matter of having them work around the outside and take out the remaining defenses. One thing that works really well with the E-Dragons is if you can get usage out of the Flamefinger. It is one of the strongest siege machines right now, and if you can get a spot, which is rare nowadays with all the Expos and long targeting defenses, but if you can get a spot where you can use that siege machine and get the extra value, it really can pay off in the long run. This one, I mean, I really didn't get that much, but I did get an air defense and a few Teslas down in that corner, plus the super minions got down the Expo and kind of funneled my troops into the back end of the base pretty well, and that helps. And as you can see, we end here, Warden's up, Queen's up, King's up. Pretty good triple in Legends League. So let's move on to the next one. And we run into this base. Very common base. It's pretty easy once you get the funneling down. 2 E-Dragons on one side. I'm going to put an extra one down there, and I'll probably rage them up just to make sure that they set the funnel well. King, Queen, Siege Barracks on the other side. Make sure the Queen's Giant Arrow went through the core to trigger the spell towers. Actually, there was no Invis Tower. Sometimes this runs with an Invis Tower. So you got to make sure that the Queen targets the core and takes down the Invis. But this one just has Rage, Poison. But as you can see, I've set a great funnel here. I've basically taken out 50% of the base before even putting down the E-Dragons. They're going to path straight into that Revenge Tower. Now I'm going to save my Warden's ability until they're right in the core. Use all of my abilities basically. Use the Minion Prince, the Warden ability, and a Rage. And it is going to absolutely gut the core of this base. And really, after that, this base doesn't have a lot of defense on the back end. I put down some rocket loons to take out the air defense on the left side. And that's it. Queen's walking around the top. E-Dragons are walking around the bottom. The super minions are actually doing a good deal of damage in the core with the the Minion Prince still. And this base is crushed. These bases can be a little difficult if you don't set the funnel correctly, but as you can see with the 3 E-Dragons and the Rage spell on the bottom, it absolutely set the funnel and crushed the base. Don't be afraid to use those Rages on the funnel. Next up, you've got another box base. These are bases typically E-Dragons do really well against if you can get them into the core. We're going to drop a Flame Finger up at the top, and he's going to do some work. He should be able to get that Wizard Tower, the Multi-Gear Tower, and the Multi-Inferno, which will allow my E-Dragons to go straight to the core. And I'll probably put heroes down at the bottom to get a good funnel set up. So I'm just waiting for that to do some damage. I use the Queen. I snipe out the air sweeper again. One tip, if you have an iPad or a bigger device, it really helps with sniping out those air sweepers. They are really difficult to hit on a small phone, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. E-Dragons in the middle. I am going to pop the Eternal Tome early. I'm seeing a lot of damage from those Multi-Infernos and the Revenge Tower. So pop it early, and also pop the Minion Prince ability here in a second to freeze up all those back-end defenses under the Rage Tower. And he's not looking the right way. I need him to turn back to the left, and there we go. Pop that ability. And I've got the King and the Queen down at the bottom. You can see they're still pretty healthy. The E-Dragons move so fast, they kind of get ahead and take out the defenses before the King and Queen get there. And so that allows them to stay pretty healthy until the back end. I've got one more totem here, but there's really nothing left to use it on. I'll just drop it on this army camp over here. And that's that base done and toasted. Next up is kind of a weird design. Another corner town hall with a Invis tower. I'm going to look for some flinger value at the 9 o'clock section. Once I take out that mortar, there's not a lot there that can target it besides that expo. I'm going to use the rocket loons to trigger the Invis. Apparently 2 rocket loons doing damage to that multi-gear tower did not trigger the Invis, so I have to use 2 more. And then I'm going to drop my 2 E-Dragons and a Rage on that cannon, and that should take down that section. Now I'm going to come in from the opposite side because both sweepers are pointing away, and I don't want to deal with them until the end of the attack. So I drop the King and the Queen up at noon. The Siege Barracks has been, or the Flame Flinger has been setting up a good funnel, and my E-Dragons can go right into the core. I'm going to drop 3 totems very early on. These totems are basically to tank any incoming damage right away so that I can save that Eternal Tome for the core. Eternal Tome, Rage up, it's going to take out all that splash damage, and then I'm going to use the totems to distract the fire spitters just to make sure they aren't putting too much damage on the E-Dragons. And this one, the E-Dragons are going to flare out a little bit. But this is a good thing. Again, king and queen are full health. I'm going to actually start using totems to tank for them and wall break myself into this monolith compartment. And while there's no E-Dragons left, well, there's one, I guess, the top side, or the 9 o'clock area that just went down, but I still have all 4 heroes. And this means that with 90% of the base gone, they're going to be able to clean up and take down the rest of the base. E-Dragons right now are one of the most powerful armies in Clash of Clans.